witnessed on Monday as Denver, without Jokic, without Murray, without Brown, no problem because they got that man. Corner three, that's cash. Aaron Gordon. Nuggets leading by 12 after 3 quarters. They continue to hold the lead into the fourth. Here comes Draymond off the turnover. Attacks the rim. And the Warriors hanging around. It's a 3-point game. This is a big moment as it's Gordon. To the left hand, gets to the lane. Big time bucket. And the lead is 5. The lead 7 off the miss. Wild scramble. It's Gordon again. Big time effort play. Gets the reverse. A 38-point night powers the Nuggets to the victory in San Francisco over the Warriors as they move to 44-25. This is coming off a loss at home to the Wizards of all squads. Nuggets have now won 9 consecutive games against Golden State, which is the longest winning streak by any team against the Warriors since Steve Kerr took over as Golden State's head coach. It's been a decade ago. Best thing I saw on this Monday, the Timberwolves bringing a win streak into the game. Thought it might be that, or the finish of the night, or this skirmish here, early third. Andrew Nembhard, Mike Conley face-to-face, Rudy Gobert involved. Gobert awarded a flagrant 2. Nembhard gets his second technical foul, and that'd be the end of the evening for both players. So we have that. Now let's put this dust up behind us and focus on winning time. Timberwolves lead by 2, make it 4 as Anthony Edwards attacks the cup. 3 the hard way, makes it a 5-point lead. Jarris Walker, mid-range, cookies, as Steve would say. Pacers now lead. They lead by 3. Corner 3 coming. Jaden McDaniels, tie ball game, 1:15 apiece. Under 10 to go, Pacers trail by 2 after some free throws. TJ McConnell.
Take.
Hell yeah, tied at 117. Next Timberwolves possession. You know it's Edwards. Here comes the double. Make it a quadruple. 4 Pacers in the vicinity. Edwards now 0 for 14 in his career on game-tying or go-ahead shots in the final 5 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime. Just a statistical anomaly. The guy's a great player. Just hadn't hit the big shot yet. That's a big shot. Conley banks in a 3. Timberwolves lead by 3. Obi Toppin. Steve.
Banks open.
Count it. Pacers up 1. After Edwards hits some free throws, Pacers down 1. This shot is impossible. Toppin. Corner. Hits the deck. Hits the bucket. Steve, you know how much I hate it when dudes fall down?
Yeah.
Who am I to say? He knew what he was doing. Big time hit. Pacers now lead by 2. Chance to tie, and it's Julius Randle this time. So 34-10. No Halliburton for the Pacers. That was the headline I neglected to mention until the finish. But the Toppin threes, the Randle miss, and the 34-10 night for Toppin means they avoid the loss after Ant's 38. Comeback of the night. Wait. Houston has a comeback against Philly? Philly had no one. They're 16-1, you see, as favorites of significant margin that they were. And this is the Sixers doing their thing to the tune of a 16-point lead. Now it's a 18-point lead. That was Justin Edwards. You saw O'Shea Brissett as well. 15-26 from 3 were the Sixers. They're still leading, but here come the Rockets. Dylan Brooks, it's a 12-point game. 10-point game, Jabari Smith, corner 3. I was wrong. They were down 20, and I said to Steve, they'll be ahead with the 9-minute mark of the fourth. Not quite. But now, the game's tied on the Jalen Green drive. Game goes to overtime, tied at 102. Philly leading. Quentin Grimes. He had 46, but then There's enough time on the clock for Houston to give it to Brooks. Okay, 4-point deficit. Fred VanVleet, nothing. VanVleet. VanVleet will chase down Brissett. And that is a hard foul. Flagrant 2. VanVleet is ejected. So now it's a 6-point deficit. There's not enough time. Smith, 3. All right? Don't turn it over. They turn it over. And the Rockets bring in their bigs. So you've got to make the first free throw. You have to miss the second. It has to work out. You have to hit the rim. A lot of guys don't hit the rim. Smith misses. Alperon Şengün with a putback. We're tied at 131. Jalen Hood-Schifino for the win. No. And now we're tied in overtime at 131. Şengün, 3 the hard way. 13 and 11 for him. Then it's Green. Pulls and hits. He had 30 and 13 assists. And the Rockets, in a game where Philly did not have, what, they have 9 available?
Maybe.
If Houston comes back and wins the game. Rockets trail by 25 in the second. First win in franchise history after trailing by 25 or more in the second half. Trail by 8 with less than a minute remaining in the fourth. First team to win with that scenario since exactly 2 years ago to the day Memphis did it against the Spurs. Houston also the first team this season to win after never having led during regulation. Tim Legler. Normally we're face-to-face, but I'll take it anyway. I can get a little time with my guy. This Rockets team looks like they're going to take what would be a horrendous loss, but they don't. I think teams can show something when they show fight, regardless of who the opponent is, and they win in a game where you're just never supposed to win at all. What do they show you?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, it's easy, like you said, Scott, on a certain night, even when everything looks like it should be an easy win, but you don't play well enough to do it, at some point you do sort of give up the fight. Number one, they didn't stop fighting, and that's sort of the hallmark of their team. But more importantly, how they came back. This is a team that is anemic from the three-point line. The three-point shooting is ultimately what did this in the fourth quarter. Jabari Smith had a huge night from the three. Dillon Brooks, big threes. You mentioned the one Jalen Green hit in overtime. This is a team that has been near the top of the West most of the season, but yet few people have fully bought into. We love their defense. We love their toughness. We think they're well coached, but they don't have enough shooting. So if they can make shots, Scott, I think you viewed the Houston Rockets differently. They had to dig deep, make some big ones in this game. And look, I'm not saying they're going to make a ton of threes every night, but if they can be closer to what they showed you tonight, I think it gives them a better shot in the postseason.
The Minnesota highlight, right? They're carrying an 8-game winning streak into a night against the Pacers squad without Halliburton, who's the guy that seems to pull rabbits out of hats when the Pacers need some magic, right? Well, the Pacers find magic in a different way, and they win this game in the fashion that they did. Toppin goes nuts. What do both sides show you in this game that you take away from it?
Well, first, look, you mentioned Halliburton. How about the fact they didn't have Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, or Aaron Nesmith either? They're missing 4 starters in this game. Minnesota is fighting in a dogfight with Golden State. Minnesota, Golden State, 2 hottest teams in the Western Conference. They're in a dogfight to try to get above the play-in mark. So you think this should be an easy one for Minnesota the way they've played defense. Obi Toppin comes to the rescue, man. A guy has a career night shooting the basketball. There was no answer for him. That's what it came down to. He made big shot after big shot in the second half of this game into overtime. You showed a couple of those big ones in the highlight. The bank 3 from the top. Yeah, okay, a little bit of luck involved in that one. No luck involved in that last one. He hits in the deep fade in the corner, and it's actually the exact same shot Tyrese Halliburton hit to beat the Bucks last week. So they like that left corner falling out of bounds apparently because they've had 2 wins now on that exact same offense.
Hey, man, you made your living shooting the basketball. No apologies for anything. Buckets good, count it. I want to squeeze one more question and a result tonight that's pretty inexplicable. A Denver team with no Jokic, no Murray, no Brown. I'll do a better job of the accounting of the stars not available for Denver than I did for the Pacers. And yet, after losing at home to Washington, You go in and take on a Golden State team that for whatever reason Denver just seems to own, and they win that game. Gordon was fantastic, but I get it. You can't take anything for granted in this league, but how do you explain that result?
Yeah, listen, let's set the stage here. Denver is coming off their worst week of the season. They lose at home to Washington. They got mauled by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they barely beat the Lakers without Luka and LeBron James. They have to hold on late in that game. So, of course, you sit these guys and you expect you're going to go up against a red-hot Golden State team that's been second in the league in defense since they got Jimmy Butler. And what happens? They get tuned up by the Nuggets. Really, from the very outset of this game, it was obvious to me the Golden State Warriors were just not expecting the force with which Denver was coming at them offensively. Even after Golden State was scoring, Denver was getting back down the floor into their offense within 5 seconds, and they never really adjusted. They made that one run in the fourth quarter, and you're starting to think, okay, now they're going to clamp down, and Golden State is going to win this game. Steph and Jimmy will be great late. And they couldn't get the key stop when they had to. Aaron Gordon was spectacular in this game. Russell Westbrook, with his pace, his energy, they get a huge win. There's no way you can explain both of those games with Indiana sitting who they were, Denver sitting who they were, against two very hot teams on their court. Doesn't make any sense, Scott, but that's the NBA. That's why you play 48 minutes.
Understood, and you're going to play 82 before you figure out who you meet in the playoffs. If we played them starting today, that would be a playoff matchup. No guarantees that Golden State and Denver would face each other, but if they do, Tim, given how often Denver's had their number, 9 straight, how much does that weigh on your mind when you know you got to beat a team 4 out of 7, you just can't beat them?
This is an enormous one psychologically, I think. Look, it still would have been there, those numbers, with their key guys, and Golden State still hasn't figured that out. But at least if you get a win against them, this is 9 in a row. Like, you definitely are going to start to feel a little bit differently if you can just turn the tide in this game. Scott, this is a brutal loss from this standpoint. You caught a break with this Minnesota game. I said they're in a battle with them right now for that 6th spot. You got a chance to pick up a game on Minnesota, who is just chomping at your heels, and you don't get it done against a depleted Denver Nuggets team to this extent. This is a really bad loss for Golden State when they were red hot. It's not going to make me scratch my head like, I don't know what I've been watching for the last month. I know they've been really good lately, but you have to get this win against the Denver Nuggets without Jokic and Murray because they don't have any other way to run their offense.
Yeah, interesting night. Some unexpected results to be sure. Tim, great to visit with you as always. Be well until we talk again, all right?
You got it.